Welcome to The Explainer. I'm so glad you're here today because, well, we're diving into something that's honestly just as surprising as it is fascinating. Think about lucrative agricultural trends for 2026 for a second. What pops into your head? Probably not guinea pigs, right? But today, we're looking at the source material on guinea pigs as a highly viable, super low-cost micro-livestock business. Yeah, you heard me right, guinea pig farming. It's an opportunity that's totally flying under the radar, but gaining some really serious traction. So it begs the question, could these cute little pets actually make you money? It's a completely fair thing to ask. I mean, most of us grew up seeing them strictly as household pets. But to really grasp this explainer, we kind of need to flip our perspective. We gotta stop looking at them just as fluffy companions and start framing them as a serious, global agricultural commodity. Sounds wild, I know, but the economics here are literally game-changing. To map out exactly how this works, here's our agenda for today. First, the micro-livestock boom. Second, why farm guinea pigs. Third, starting your own farm. Fourth, building revenue streams. Fifth, the risks and challenges. And finally, the final verdict. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the micro-livestock boom, and see exactly why we need to rethink the guinea pig. Now, what's really funny about the guinea pig is its basic definition. Despite the name, they aren't pigs, and they definitely aren't from Guinea. They're actually small rodents originally from South America. Take a second to let that irony sink in. But look, beyond the funny name, they've got a few key traits that make them absolutely perfect for farming. We're talking incredibly gentle temperaments, very low maintenance, tiny housing requirements, and most importantly, they reproduce really fast. And this illustrates exactly where the demand is coming from. It's not just some single niche market. They're being raised for the pet markets, research purposes, educational projects, and breeding businesses. In some countries, they're even raised for meat production. It's this incredibly diverse, growing demand worldwide that's creating such a huge, lucrative opening for small-scale farmers today. Okay, so that's the demand, but what about the actual economics? Let's move on to section 2, why farm guinea pigs, and look at the business case. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur, there are 4 massive logistical advantages to jumping into this specific market. First up, low startup cost. You can literally get going with minimal capital and just a couple of breeding pairs. Second, the small space requirement. Third, fast reproduction, which lets you scale up incredibly fast. And fourth, a constantly growing global pet industry where buyers are actively hunting for healthy, well-bred animals. Let's contrast this to really drive the point home. Traditional livestock, pigs, goats, poultry, they require large tracts of land and massive upfront capital. It's a huge barrier to entry. But guinea pigs, they require minimal capital and honestly just a spare room, a shed, or even a small backyard enclosure. Let me ask you, could you turn a spare room or shed in your backyard into a profit center? Because with this micro-livestock model, the answer is a resounding yes. So, how do you actually pull this off? Let's transition into section 3, starting your own farm, and break down the daily operational steps. The real beauty here is that getting a micro farm off the ground is a surprisingly simple 4-step journey. You've got to purchase healthy breeding stock, build suitable housing, master their feeding routine, and manage the breeding process. Let's break these down one by one. Step 1 is buying your foundational stock from reputable breeders. You absolutely must avoid sick or weak animals. That'll tank your business before it even gets off the ground. When you're evaluating these animals, you want to look for very specific indicators: bright eyes, clean fur, active movement, and a hearty appetite. Those are the completely non-negotiable signs of a healthy guinea pig. Step 2 is housing. Now, while the space they need is small, the environment has to be strictly controlled. Your setup needs proper ventilation, ironclad protection from predators, and a constant supply of clean water. For bedding, you can use really simple stuff: wood shavings, straw, or hay. But hear me on this one. Keeping this simple setup impeccably clean and totally dry is the absolute most crucial step to preventing devastating diseases. You can't slack on that. Now for step 3, feeding. Guinea pigs are herbivores, so they eat fresh grasses, hay, and pellets. But there is a critical fact you have to remember. Guinea pigs cannot produce their own vitamin C. Unlike a lot of other animals, this is literally a life or death detail for your farm. You've got to supplement their diet with vitamin C-rich foods, things like bell peppers, carrots, and leafy veggies, or your stock just isn't going to make it. Moving on to step 4, breeding management. Their gestation period is right around 2 months. But what's really incredible about this, and kind of mind-blowing compared to other small mammals, is that baby guinea pigs are born fully furred and can actually walk almost immediately after birth. This huge biological advantage keeps infant mortality rates remarkably low, which is fantastic for protecting your bottom line. And to maximize that breeding, you're aiming for a ratio of 1 to 4, basically 1 healthy male to every 4 or 5 females. This specific ratio is literally the engine of your farm. It's the secret sauce that allows that fast reproduction to work its magic, giving you the ability to rapidly multiply your stock year over year. All right, now that we know how to run the farm, let's look at section 4, building revenue streams, and check out the financial upside. Let's see how all this builds a highly resilient business model. A guinea pig farm isn't just a one-trick pony. Sure, you've got pet sales, where healthy, attractive animals command a premium, but you can also sell breeding stock to new farmers just entering the game. Plus, once you have a solid customer base, you can start selling accessories, cages, feed, water bottles, the whole shebang. And finally, as you gain expertise, consultation. You can literally charge to teach beginners how to replicate your success. It's all about generating diverse, steady cash flow by knowing your local market. Of course, every good business pitch needs a reality check. Let's move to section 5, risks and potential challenges. So, what's the catch? Here are the 4 primary threats that can totally derail your operation. First, disease outbreaks, which almost always stem from poor hygiene in the enclosures. Second, poor marketing. I mean, you can have the healthiest animals on the planet, but if you can't find customers, you're making zero profit. Third, predators. We're talking dogs, cats, snakes, rats. You have to protect your stock. And finally, heat stress. Guinea pigs have terrible tolerance for excessive heat, which is exactly why that proper ventilation we talked about earlier is absolutely essential. So, weighing all the pros and cons, we arrive at section 6, the final verdict. Is guinea pig farming actually worth it in 2026? The source material sums it up perfectly, saying, while they won't make you rich overnight, they can become a steady source of income for dedicated farmers and animal enthusiasts. So the answer is yes, it's definitely profitable, but only if you cultivate a reliable market and actually manage the animals well. The incredibly low startup barriers are totally real, but genuine daily dedication is what it actually takes to see that steady profit. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Do you have the space and the dedication to start your own guinea pig microfarm? It's this hidden agricultural opportunity that's just sitting there, waiting for the right kind of entrepreneur. Think about it, that spare room or that unused shed in the backyard. Could you be the one to capitalize on this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer today. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.